Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about progress versus diversity part 2. So let's dive deep into it. Now first, just to give you a refresher and to reinforce some concepts, progress is a never-ending march, meaning there is no end point of progress. It's not like, okay, we have done this, the end. No, it's a never-ending march. So what's the scientific definition? Basically, do more. Basically, whatever you want to do more with less energy and less time. And sometimes you can vice versa. For example, you can consume far more energy if it saves you a lot of time. For example, traveling in a plane consumes more energy but saves time. So that is a viable trade-off. So ideally, you'll save both. Basically, save energy, save time, and reduce consequences. Like for example, we were boiling alive, so we were like, hey, how about we make air condition? Cool, awesome. Solved the first two. It was much easier, much comfortable, and we were chill, awesome. But it destroyed the ozone layer. So we are like, hey, it has consequences. Let's upgrade it. So we upgraded our refrigerant from weird alchemy mixes to natural, like ammonia, propane, butane, CO2, yeah, those sort of things. Basically natural refrigerant. That switching is happening right now. So that's the whole point. Do more with less and less time and reduce consequences. That's it. There is nothing more than that. And why do we have diversity? Well, simply because early humans were slow. Meaning for this, nowadays, if you're like, hey, I'm here and I want to travel somewhere here, that's a minor inconvenience now. Like at best, it will be a 24-hour flight or 22-hour if I'm not mistaken. So it's not difficult nowadays. But here's the go back, roll back clock even as little as 1000 years. That idea is unimaginable, undigestible. So what does it mean? It simply means we were way more environmental. Basically, you have this much empty space. Tell me which country this is. It's quite obvious. And you can't use this area. You have to be around that line. Why? Because again, environment did decide that. We did not, environment did. So that created a scenario where our home base was very locked. And if you ever wondered why the heck so many tribes were like living like this, yeah, they can't move. You might think it's like, oh, we can just like, pack up and leave. And that's a very modern concept in a very civilized society where you can just like, hey, pack up and leave. So it's one of those things that you have to understand. And in those environment, basically all these places, you have two things that are affecting how on edge people are. Scarcity and predators. Basically, in simple scenarios, how much water do you have, how much fertile land you have, and how many predators are there. So if you have very few predators, who cares? But you have a lot of it, like way too many, and way too many of them are capable of shift deleting you. Yeah, that's going to have a very on-edge reaction. And again, a culture, a group of people growing over that, due to selective adaptation, over time they will be very twitchy, very like, bam. It has to be. They do not get that luxury. Like for example, if you compare someone who is growing in an environment where there is no water versus someone who is in India, it's like, bro, water is like for 10,000 years we never had to worry about. We had to worry about floods. We have monsoon season. It rains for months. So floods are more serious hassle to us than, drought, so to say. Now again, it's not like drought was never a thing. We always knew that drought was like a, what you call, temporary, so to say. So fundamentally, that will create a different type of culture than some place which has way too much scarcity, way too much predator, and it will directly affect how instantaneous missile firing people you are. And water is the limitation of the early era. Now it's a solved problem. Like now, if you do have issue, like if Iran has water issue, is because they are done. There is no reason to have water issue in Iran in nowadays, so to say. And what's the output of this? Like basically, you can have so many people. Like we shifted, if I'm not mistaken, 800 people in one craft. And nowadays, we can do it so luxuriously. Like there are sleeping berths available in Airbus A380 if you are rich enough. So what are the outcome of like, this sort of isolated island growth? Well, we have languages. That's why there are so many languages. We have cultures. Culture literally reflect the environment of it. Basically, if you live in a culture where dogs did not bring any ill will towards you, as in diseases, pathogens, and things of that, you will have very good representation of them. And if they helped you with your actual task and chores, dogs will be part of your culture. They're part of your life. But if dogs brings basically some some sort of disease, which again, back in that day, you will not understand, okay, dog is not the ill will, dog is carrying something that is bringing us harm. That will reflect in your culture, basically how people treat dogs. It will be there. And religions, basically, to basically make sense of things. So these are the output. You have language output, cultural output, and religion output. So that's the context of what we are talking about, progress and diversity. That's the essence. Now, one thing you have to understand, many time I've seen way too many time, especially Hollywood elites talking about like, oh, like there was some video that almost boiled my blood. It was like, this woman maybe representing an alien or higher being is like, oh, human, this is the most fun part of humans. It's like, they can solve all the problem. They have so much money, but they don't. It's like, that's not the problem. Problem is trust. Like, here's the deal. What is money? Like, fundamentally, what the hell is money? It's trust. Trust in physical form. Now you're like, okay, what about digital? Is trust. Okay, it's just trust. Understand that. It's a tangible form or physical form of trust. And you and everybody around you have agreed to put your trust into it. And it's a collective argument. For example, many times people have this dumb idea where it's like, oh, gold has value. No. Like, it has no value. Because what do you mean when you say gold has value? You can do something with it. If you can do something with money, money has value. If you can do something with gold, gold has value. But here's the deal. Who decides that you can do something with it? Other people. Meaning trust. That's why we changed from gold to other things. Of course, there were some other variables also, but it was necessary. Like if you're in the middle of a desert and like let's say your culture is starved for water, do you think what is more valuable, gold or water? You're going to be dead without water in 3 days. You can live without your whole life without gold. So trust me, like this is a very warped perspective that we have. It's like, and again, this has proven in like very, how shall I say, violent ways where people thought like, okay, you should value this. It's like, no, we do not care. Be mindful. It's trust. It's a physical, money is physical trust. And everybody has to create what we call collective argument. And foundation of the system is basically 3 pillars, basically banks, government, and justice system. People have to have faith into it. If that fails, kaput will have. For example, $100 trillion. Now here's the deal. If I gave you $100 trillion in American dollars, you'll be like, whoa. But here's the deal. This is a real thing. Like a real currency. Like, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. But does it have value? Short answer, no. Why not? Trust. There is no trust in this. So basically the easiest way to figure out how much trust people have on the currency is how many zeros is that. Now let that be very clear. If it has too many zeros, does not guarantee that it would be a low value currency, because again, hyperinflation simply means somebody lost brakes. But again, sometimes good cultures can still apply brakes, and it's like, okay, let's apply, let's stabilize these things, like South Korea, China, Japan. They can still apply brakes, but this is like, what is brake? $100 trillion. And be mindful, this is not a new thing. This is after World War I, Germany. And if you see way too many zeros, yeah, it was so bad that people, instead of buying wood and things, wood and charcoal to burn for winter, they were directly kaputting basically currency. It was cheaper. So fundamentally, do not have this brain damage ideas like money is a thing. Money has nothing. It's trust. Like if you give someone money in Africa, what are you actually doing? You are trusting them. Like, hey, here's some money, build a power plant with it. What does it mean? Like, did you give money? No, you gave trust. It's like, hey, this is my trust. Please build a power plant with this. And if they did not, see, money does not solve the problem. So loss of trust makes money worthless. Like again, more zeros, the more closer you are to that point. That's the reality of it. Never ever confuse this. Money only works in a trusted society. Without that, it has no value. Like you're like, okay, back in the if after the world collapse we'll barter in gold. No, you'll barter in pew pew, because again, that will allow you to do pew pew. In God we trust. So now let's understand some historical context to plant our feet, so to say. World War II was what we call a great global reordering, so to say. It was a big shake-up. You took a planet Earth, you shook it. And the amount of wealth and life that was destroyed was on an epic scale. It was like, oh my God, the amount of money we just set on fire, the amount of lives we threw away, it was bonkers. Like, whoa, kind of bonkers. And a lot of old empire fell just after that. And Republic took notes, basically root at that point in time. So Asia, Africa, Middle East, most of them got freedom just after that point. Basically, World War II happens, too much death and destruction in the West, and the roots that they had, the colonial roots, yeah, that becomes too weak to sustain, and brick by brick, day by day, they lose all that. And it happens surprisingly quickly. So 1, 2, 3, is very quickly, so to say. Now, here's the so many nations got into the market, and we changed. The world order was completely changed. So what happened? Well, here's the deal. There are, give or take, 200 countries on planet Earth. But here's the deal. Which country is rich or which country is prosperous? Prosperous is directly proportional to trust. If they had trust after this decolonization, they grew. If they did not have, they rotten. They actually fell back. So, for example, many people will say, like, Japan got a lot of aid, that's why they are so successful, which is mathematically precisely true. And it was done because they wanted to make sure that, Germany after World War I does not happen. Because again, if people do not have food, bad things happen. You can easily take over the person. And again, they were worried about this. Logically so. It would have been really bad scenario as like, okay, create a Japan 2.0. So they're like, hey, let's make sure that this does not go kaput. So they dumped bonkers amount of money. And World Bank also gave bonkers amount of money. And here's the deal. This is like just after World War II. And by 1990s, they have repaid all the loans, basically, so to say, by World Bank. And World Bank is something like this. Basically, it's a fund. Everybody dumps money into it and extract when they need to. Like, everybody has a collective trust argument into that. And here's the deal. That's a lot of money. And again, they took that. They did their best to grow with it, and they paid World Bank loan afterwards. And now they are contributing to World Bank. So that was a good, what you call, investment. From US point of view, we invested into this and it paid off. They got a ally, they got a economy, they got technology, everything worked out. Now let's contrast this with basically Pakistan. Pakistan got $67 billion. $67 billion. Oh, and not to mention, World Bank also gave them $18 billion. To give you a contrast, that is 5x of what money Japan got. 5x. It's not that nobody was giving money. It's not that, oh, if you can just give money, it will solve problem. They did. It did nothing. They are still stuck in debt, crisis, and like, if you look into India's economy, like as a collective system, it's not the greatest. But if you compare India's, which again, mind you, we got independence exactly the same time as Pakistan did. Now they did trick, we are one day elder. I'm like, bro, you don't have food, don't go there. But again, compare India's economy to Pakistan, you're like, oh, like the gap is in zeros. And again, we also took a lot of what you call world loan, but we paid it off, and now we are contributing member. And Pakistan is still stuck in debt, crisis, and fragility, meaning one bad thing, one flood, the end. And again, the easiest way to demonstrate this low trust is this. No Pakistani PM has ever completed a full term. Like, you're supposed to be a PM for 5 years. That's the term. No one has ever managed to do it. Either a coup happens, they get booed out of office, or something happens. It's like it's never ever happened since their modern independence. You can't grow something in this sort of environment. And again, I have a feeling that even if there would have been a case against Trump and impeachment was like actually likely to happen, Justice branch would have delayed it so much. There's like, once its term is over, then we're gonna do something about it. They would not have tried to remove like a working, president, so to say. It's a very, what you call, scorched earth kind of move. Once in a while, you can do that, of course, but not like, you do not go Pakistan on it. So that's the reality. And again, you can see, like, this is boomer place. The pew, boom. And the whole area shift deleted. The monument is still standing, and the whole area around is now progressed. That was a boomer device, a bigger boomer device, recovered. So that's the whole point. It's not money. Money does not solve problem. If the society has trust, it recovers. If it does not matter how much money you give. Like, way too many TV shows, way too many hair-brained TikTokers are talking about, oh, give them money, it will solve the problem. It's no. I can give you all the money of Jeff Bezos and you won't be able to change one place. So fundamentally, and again, India also got freedom in the same time. Now many people say, oh, India is not amazing, like, even though we are reaching 4th. And yes, per capita we are not that amazing, but here's the deal. We are only 75 years old, and the fact that you are comparing to much larger horsepower country and much older civilizations, like modern term scale, That shows like how good we are rising, like we are going like this. Now here's the, how did China grow? No, they did not. What China did is basically what we call selling your future for a brighter present. First thing CCP did, there is a time before CCP and after CCP. First thing they did is shift deleted religion, shift deleted lot of cultural. Basically, they sterilized China, and I mean sterilize, as in like, why do you think so many people ran away from China? Like why there are so many refugees from China to other places? Like China is so great now. If you are in that what you call selection filter, they allowed you to exist. Other places they brute forced shift deleted them, changing the religion, changing the culture, changing the languages. I did not even know that China had like a lot of language history. Again, they had like a dialect and all that. Again, any place that had that sort of population will have that. It's not digestible that Mandarin is the only thing they had, even if it's an old language. Like, of course, it will have a lot of subculture to it. Like India has Hindi, and it also has a lot of other language, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. We preserved all of them, and they shift deleted all of them. That's how they got so what you call smooth. You removed diversity from it, like shift deleted. Like look into what they are doing, Uyghur Muslims to them. Like just Google it. Have fun. Have fun. And India is the world's largest Islamic country by population. So fundamentally, we, in a scenario where other countries will fall apart, we endured, we survived. Have we solved everything? Hell no. Have we solved more than enough and we are on a good trajectory? Absolutely. Assuming our justice system does not go full cuckoo, we could have done that. And again, why? Well, simply because a lot of our elders did amazing judgment. For example, we got undersea fiber way before other countries. Like you'd be shocked we got it before China. And if you ever wondered why China is manufacturing, not IT, that was the reason. We got it way early on. And that gave us the head start. A lot of people had to fight for it, and they did, and that yielded the result. Our railway was Britain Railway, that was like, meter gauge. And then we just went YOLO into it, like, broad gauge, like American grade, like broad. And it was super duper hyper expensive. But again, somebody in Indian Railway understood that India has to do this. It cannot grow into a powerful nation with a crippled railway. It has to have high throughput, high capacity system. When we did, it helped us tremendously. We built ISRO, even though everybody was like, oh, you have so much problem. We did, and it solved a lot of problems. Like, for example, a lot of people say, oh, India has like so much dirt. Yeah, go to basically North Korea, completely clean, absolutely clean, spoutless. You will run away from there. While India has a lot of problems, there is no one who is saying that we do not have problems, but we are solving it brick by brick, day by day. When I was a kid, I studied this. Like India had food problem, we did green revolution, basically grow enough that we can survive. We had milk shortages, we did white revolution, Shwet Kranti. In Hindi, it sounds better, Shwet Kranti. And again, that solved the milk problem. Brick by brick, day by day, we solved all of the problems. And we are growing, expanding. And again, we still preserve our heritage. Basically, you go to any railway station, you will see a placard, a nameplate. The nameplate will always have 3 languages written to it. First, the local language, you always preserve it. Second, Hindi, it's a national language. Third, English. So anybody who's traveling or is educated enough, they can easily use it. Like we took so much effort and care on every little thing. It's a miracle that we survived. Again, everybody was like, oh, India will starve to death. Yeah, like, bro, we are feeding the world. And again, if anybody is starving in India, it's not because we do not have food. It's simply because our ancestors solved the food part. We have to solve the distribution part. So let that be very clear. And that's with the world's largest population. And we did not force sterilize all of the planet by, like basically all of our nation by doing one-child policy, which China is now regretting. Now there is 3-child policy. So I'm saying they sold their future in order to make the present bright. And still it's not that bright. If you understand like why so much money from China goes to USA, that's the reason. They sterilize way too brutally in order to, it's almost like, short-term gain, long-term shift delete. So understand the history. It's all about trust. Like I am glad and privileged that a lot of my ancestors were that smart. It's like, hey, this nation needs internet before people even knew what internet was. They did that. Hey, we need big ass railway. They built it before we knew why we needed it. They built ISRO. And again, I'm very mad at ISRO, not because it's bad. It's because like I can see its potential. I can see it has wings. So, and again, I have Pakistan next to me. They have one language, one culture. They should have been flying. Kaputta. Now, let's understand some concepts of war. So, war is a part of living things. A lot of people who watch a very neutered version of National Geography and like, and I blame them also. They're always talking in such a butter language where it's like, dude, living things go boom boom on each other every day, every species, and interspecies violence is normal. It's like Wednesday. And again, if you want to horrify yourself, look into what one ant colony does to another ant colony. Have fun. So fundamentally, we are the same. We are made out of the same genetic code known as DNA. We have the same behavior pattern. However, our boom booms are far more frequent. Basically, in bow and arrow days, how much can you do? Like a viper, how much they can do? Like, scorpion, how much they can do? We have drrrr, here's my little friend. Drrrr. So we can do a lot more booms, and our booms are now much bigger. We can shift delete the planet. That's how big our booms are. So that's the problem. So we have to apply disc brake on a DNA code because we made weapons that are a bit too good, so to say. So that's there. And a civilization must have an endpoint, and this is very critical. You can easily spot which culture will be weakened and be deleted. It must have an endpoint. It's like we cannot sacrifice everything. Like this whole idea of fighting till the last man sounds awesome. It just leads to your death. Like it sounds awesome. It's just that if you do not survive, you did. You did. Like for example, in Hindi we have a saying, Bhakta bina Bhagavan nahi. As in if there is no believer, there is no God. And tangibly true, there used to be so many gods. What happened to them? Well, again, either believers got converted or deleted. Tada, they will slowly go down to from religion standard to mythology standard and then slowly get forgotten into history and converted into comic book movies. So civilization must have endpoint. It must prioritize survival. If it fails to do so, bad things will happen. And again, that was another thing that Japan did gracefully, so to say. Like there were way too many Japanese admirals and stuff like that were fight to the last man. It's like, bro, you are old. There won't be any change there. Nobody would ever know the name. And I'm not joking. I hope it's fake, made up. It's that somebody said, once they actually got the first boom news, it was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if whole Japan was sterilized, purified into a nuclear fire? They were actually thinking they will go into their version of Valhalla. So the culture must have an endpoint. If culture really goes that hard on a war, it's not going to be stable for long term. If you ever wonder what happened to this and that culture and they were so warrior-like, yeah, you must have an endpoint. Failure to do so, the end. And you must value life above ego. Again, ego is good, ego is fine, ego is awesome, but only to a point. It's a tool. Any tool is only useful to a point. You have to be wise with it. So you must value life above it, because again, once you lose life, the end. Now, of course, are all life equal? Depends on their action. Basically, if people are doing good things, their life should have value. If they are doing bad things, specifically causing harm to other people, their life should have lower value. That's why we put them in jail or hang them. So that's the whole point. Life must have value higher than ego. Any culture, any religion, any civilization that did not understood this, well, read history books. That's the reason. Because again, if you do not do this, you will trigger what we call forever war. Meaning, nobody will know why they are fighting, why they are dying, and it could last for 1,000+ years. Not made up. It's still going on. So that's all. And again, there is no reason, oh, he killed my 10,000 generation. It's like it has no value. Like it is completely useless. But again, ego. You have to value life above that. And what happens if you create this sort of stupidity? Outside people and smart people will exploit it. It's like, hey, look at these dumb people. They're going boom boom to each other. So basically, Sudan would be like, we're gonna go boom, and we're gonna go boom, and then we're gonna go boom boom. And then Saudi Arabia will be like, hey, here's money, go extra boom boom. America would be like, hey, here's money, go extra boom boom. Russia would be like, hey, take extra money, go extra boom boom. What happens to Sudanese people? Delete. So flat out, let that be clear. If you do the dumb things, other people are like, bro, you dumb, bro. Let me take everything you have. Let me just let me just take it. You can't handle it anyway. So that's the whole thing. And you have to have basically a very realistic understanding in greater good rather than afterlife. Be thankful that Japan actually surrendered, because if they were really that stupid, if they're like, okay, we're gonna do the last end, because here's the deal, while USA only had 3 weapons ready, they could have easily mass produced it. That's the one thing they are very good at. Control C, Control V. It's like, oh, you're really gonna go Control C, Control V. They were making runways. They had the Lego assembly for runways. They were building runways. So same thing here. South Korea, North Korea is like war. South Korea is like, bro, we gotta live, man. Result, Oh, by the way, the green one is the population density map. The night sort is the electricity consumption. So that's the war aspect of it. If you are stupid enough to go boom boom to yourself, other people will exploit it. It's natural. So what are the facts here? Well, facts are very simple. No amount of money can buy a shred of trust. You can give $10 trillion to South Africa, but you still will not have trust whether like, hey, take this money, build a new solar farm so you can have electricity so you can grow. You just hope. There is no trust into it, and that's why they have the problem. So fundamentally, I have seen way too many people like money will solve the problem. Money will not solve it. Trust does. Like here's the deal. In simplest term, even in healthy countries, how many people won lotteries and destroyed their life? It takes serious amounts of horsepower, serious amounts of intelligence, wisdom to utilize money in such a way that it grows. It is difficult AF. So fundamentally, and where does you have to put trust? You have to put trust in energy, you have to put trust in justice system, at least pretend. Let that be very clear. What US did in terms of bailing out banks, it was half done for that reason. Like there was of course some corruption, of course there is no denying that, but it had to be done, because if people would have lost trust that badly, ooh, things could have got real ugly real soon. So financial system, justice system, energy system, all of these things have to work. Like have to. And fundamentally, children will have this idea of like, oh, we'll make a law. Law has nothing to work on. Like who watches the Watchmen? You can create a law like, a politician cannot profit from his position in power. They're like, yeah for you, yeah for you. So fundamentally, trust is a faith-based system. You have to have faith that I'm gonna scratch your back, you're gonna scratch my back, we're gonna help each other out. The end. There is nothing more, nothing less than that. And one of the most succinct line that actually describes whether a culture grows or not is, society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they know they shall never sit. I know definitely the individual who worked his ass off to make sure that India gets fiber just after independence. He would have never imagined that India now has fiber in almost every village. I'm not joking. In India, in terms of internet penetration, and I do not mean internet, I mean fiber to the home. At least the ability to get 1 Gbps without paying too much. He would not have imagined. We have it. Heck, there was a commenter from Germany apparently. He's like, oh, India does not need fiber. It's like, it does not have this. I'm like, yeah, we have this weird relationship where some things are super backwards. Other things are like, bro, South Korea does not reach our level. Not even joking in other things. Like literally not joking. Like, we have space program and then we have this problem. We have fiber to the home, then we have this problem. So that sort of things happen. Like fundamentally, he worked his ass off. Railway guys, he worked his ass off. Same thing. ISRO worked his ass off. Outcome, we are, yielding the fruit of it, so to say. That's the whole point. There is nothing like, this is the most beautiful thing I've seen. It's like, a daddy is planting a tree and he's like, son, one day you will appreciate the true important things in life. It's not money, it's trust, it's faith. He's building the tree and then he's like, thanks dad, because the tree is now being enjoyed by the grandchild and the father has passed away. It matters. Like you cannot live in only yourself. If that happens, that causes corrosion. Corrosion destroys trust. Once trust goes away, no matter how great a society was at starting point, it will fall apart instantaneously. So fundamentally, and again, because when people see a vulnerable thing, they exploit it. It's natural. So a culture can blame others. This is the part where smart people are like, no, you do not have problem. We have caused a problem by doing this and that. It's like, yeah, it's basically taking out your keys from your car and giving it to someone else. Like, can you please drive? You should never do that. Like, think in this way. There were a lot of people who were trying to make sure that India does not get a nukes, but we wanted it. We worked our ass off and we got it. Same goes with basically North Korea. They do not have food, they do not have water, let alone fiber to the home, but they still have nukes. If you want it, you will have it. Question is, what do you want? What is your faith? What is your trust? That's the whole point. Never blame someone from outside, because again, that will limit your growth. All the frustration in the world only helps you to grow if you're like, nah, let me handle the steering wheel. Of course, good things will happen, bad things will happen. But as long as you are willing to learn, adapt, cycle, and push through, you will grow. Failure to do so, well, ask Pakistan. So this was my presentation on basically this whole ecosystem of basically diversity versus progress part 2. I will make part 3 also if there is a lot of interest into this. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.